Hey y'all, and welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to be looking at a chess game that I played in my most recent tournament. This is round 2 of the Austin Chess Round Robin that I was playing in, and today my opponent was Asher Chodniewicz. I shouldn't say today because it was like 2 weeks ago, but whatever. For this video, my opponent is Asher Chodniewicz, who is around 100 points higher rated than me. It's basically everyone in this tournament. And yeah, I just came off of a very nice win. You can see in my last video, if you bother to go back, you don't have to. Let's just get into the chess. So I start off the game with the move d4. My opponent goes knight f6, and I decide to play the move bishop to g5. Of course, I spent a little bit of time on this because I thought, okay, do I want to play this line? I of course know this line. I'm not going to play into something that I don't know anything about. Or am I going to play the London, which is another opening that I know quite well. And I wasn't really sure how he would respond, but I decided, okay, bishop g5, this guy probably knows what I play, this isn't going to be too much of a shock for him, he probably has something prepared, and he does. He plays the move d5, and now I have another decently long think about what I'm going to do in the position, because I have to decide how I think my opponent will do worse in, like which line I think my opponent will do worse in. The line that I end up going for, there are two lines in this position that I actually play pretty regularly. The first line is this move knight to d2, which is a much more complicated, aggressive opening where white can get some like serious attacking play, and you'll see that later in the tournament I in fact did play this line. But the other line that I went for is a bit more positional. It's where white basically takes the knight, black has two options. Gf6 is normally easier to play against for white, at least I find it to be easier to play against when I'm playing white. But my opponent chose ef6, which is the more common move, and now white has some very standard play, which is basically revolving around going after the pawn on d5. And very simple moves. I go a3, bishop d6, c4, and I mean, you can already see the point. Like if c6, these games normally go like this. We go here, knight c3. I'm gonna go g3, bishop g2, queen b3, with pressure on this pawn. Not knight f3, knight e2, something like this. Rook c1, castles, and this is just gonna be like a weakness in black's position for the entirety of the game. And we're just gonna try and do something about it, really. But my opponent decided not to go into this line and decided to play a different line, which is actually the top engine line of the computer, and he played it relatively quickly. So I'm pretty sure he had prepped this. He played the move d takes c4, which is a line. It's not a line that I see very often at my level, so I don't have that much prep against it. And already soon here, I was basically on my own on theory moves. I just knew basic ideas of the position. So of course, bishop takes c4, move is very logical, castles, and now what white likes to do is put the knight on c3, pretty obviously, put the knight on c3, and there's a bit of a nuance in some positions here where the knight on f3 gets delayed a little bit, because the pin here, if I play knight f3 immediately, say this, my opponent can immediately play with bishop g4. It's not good here, but in some lines it can be very annoying. And the point is, like, this pin is just impossible to deal with. It's just really difficult to deal with. If I ever played g4, which is actually top line of the computer here, he's going to go back here. Sometimes I've overextended. It's tricky. It's very scary, and I really just don't like playing into this. So I decided, okay, for this game, I'm going to delay the knight f3 move as long as possible, or I'm going to play like queen c2, and then I'm going to play knight f3, so then the pin doesn't exist. Okay, it's very logical. So I play knight at c3. First, of course, got to control some center squares, most logical developing move. Knight to d7, and I decide here that, okay, my opponent has, for the moment, blocked the bishop. He has blocked the bishop, and I can go knight f3 here, but I didn't really want to. Basically, there's a couple of lines which kind of scared me here. I don't think they're any good. I don't think they're any good, but I just didn't want to calculate all this. Like this move knight b6, I'm sure it's not good. It's okay, I guess, but I was gonna play something like bishop b3, and I'm like, he gets the pin. I don't want this spin. This is like horrendous for me. Like I don't know. Maybe I have a mental block or something, but this is just really, really, really not what I want. So I decided, okay, I'm not going to play knight f3. I'm going to play a useful move. Makes sense. It's going to put pressure on my opponent's position, and it's not really going to show him where I'm going to put my pieces, because I mean, then I can also go on e2 in some lines. I decided to play this move h3. And the point is, okay, first of all, I take away the bishop square. Second of all, I might be able to play g4 in the future. Very interesting move. And I could be able to like start an attack, because okay, look, I got this bishop that can be pointed over here, I got this rook, I got my queen that can come in quick, I got this knight which it can actually be very aggressive in some lines, and I don't know, I was kind of getting a little bit of interesting ideas here, a little bit of scary plans, and those plans got immediately more real after my opponent played the move f5, which is a move that I expected. Of course, it's very, very logical. He wants to put the knight on f6, and he can't do that with the pawn on f6, and that's where the knight wants to go. So, okay, plays f5. And now, I'm getting some really, really bad ideas. I'm getting some really bad ideas of playing this move g4, which I know is just a horrible move. And the point is, I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, I'm going to attack. It's going to be so cool. I'm going to attack. He's not going to see it coming. I'm going to win the game easily. I'm going to go on to win all my games. I just came off my first game high, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to just go for it. I'm just going to go for it. But I know this is wrong. I don't play this move in the game, but I know this is wrong. The point is that, like, yes, after this, I have like an advantage here. I have like this open file, but I was like, what if he just doesn't take? Like, what do I do if he just, like, I don't even know, just plays knight f6, like g5, if overextended, knight e4, can take, but then he has like ideas like this. I probably have to play knight e2, queen g5, for example. Now I'm down a pawn. Like everything just collapses, and I was like, okay, no, I can't go for this. I can't go for this move g4, but I put it in the pocket for later. Maybe I'll have a chance to go for it in the future. Instead, I decided, okay, I'm going to spend some time. I don't really know what to do in this position. g4 isn't correct. Why don't I improve my pieces? If I don't know what I'm going to do, I'm going to improve my pieces. Lesson that I learned from Grandmaster Nick Sons in his channel, which is actually like really, really good. You should check him out. I'm just going to improve my pieces. What piece like needs improvement? Okay, there's a couple. This queen, this knight, this bishop. I decide, okay, this queen, I don't know where I'm gonna really put it yet, because the queen has a couple squares it can go to. It can go to b3 in some lines, it can go to a4 in some lines. Obviously not right now, but it can go to a4 in some lines. c2 is a very logical square for it. d2 is sometimes where the queen goes to like fight for the dark squares. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna move my bishop back. I'm gonna play bishop to d3. There's some arrows there. And the point is, okay, I'm going to hit the pawn, and my opponent has only a couple of moves to accurately defend it. The reason why I didn't develop my knight just yet is because I still don't know where it's going to go. I still don't want to show my opponent my cards yet. I can go knight e2, or I can go knight f3. Both of them are very logical moves, and both of them change up the position a lot. And I don't want my opponent to know what I'm going to do. So I play bishop to d3, which is the most flexible of the moves, hits the pawn, and my opponent has three options of defending the pawn. He can either play the move knight f6, opening up the bishop, which is the most logical move. This is actually what he played in the game. He played knight f6 after a bit of thought. He can play g6, which I think is okay, but I'm still like in. And here, unfortunately, the audio of the video cut out. So this is post-edit realization. I can't pull up the game again because I would take some time to put back in and just decided to talk over it. So here I'm talking about g4. There's some ideas there. It doesn't really work right away. But the point is that my opponent doesn't really want to weaken the dark squares with bishop g6. See how many moves it would take to get the bishop back to g7, form a stronghold there, and of course I get h4, h5 ideas, right? The other line here, there's a couple other lines. I should be getting to that in a little bit. Yeah, queen to g5. Which I had briefly calculated. I was talking here about how I was thinking about playing a move like knight to f3. which is very, very interesting. Sacrificing the g2 pawn. I'm sure there'll be arrows on the screen in like 2 seconds. There's also g4, which I might be looking at. Yeah, g4 here is an option. And my opponent here wasn't... g4 is actually top engine move. Yes, I remember now. But knight f3 was the move I was really looking at. And the point is that I sacrificed the g2 pawn. My opponent told me he didn't see this during the game. He didn't think that there was like anything here. So it was kind of interesting to look at that. Of course, knight f3 seems very natural to me since I'm able to, yeah, see I'm showing there, sacrifice 2 pawns. But now I'm able to bring the king up. I'm able to get a rook on the h file and on the g file. And slowly but surely, my opponent's going to have a lot of weaknesses on the king. Engine always says 0-0-0, but I think this is a very interesting position to play with the white pieces. Yeah, and that's kind of it. There's not much else that I'm really saying here. I'm kind of looking at the differences between king d2 and king e2. Yeah, I probably would have figured it out during the game. The king d2 is more accurate because I defend the knight with the queen there. And we should be getting back to normal me speaking in like a minute or so, maybe less. I do not know how the audio cut out for so long. No idea what I'm talking about either. But in any case, yep. But he didn't play any of that. He decided not to play queen g5 during the game. He played knight f6, which made more sense to me. Yeah, and made more sense to him too, I guess. I guess after queen g5, he was a little bit worried about g4 automatically. And we should be getting back in like a second. Yes, here I play queen c2, put some pressure on that pawn, force him to play g6, get my queen off the line. Just makes a lot of sense. So, of course, you've got to play queen c2. And now we should be back. I don't know. Maybe I have some sort of attack, and I was kind of evaluating this position as maybe like plus 0.2. But okay, engine always thinks it's better for black for some reason. In all honesty, I don't really know why. I kind of like this position for white. In any case, now I decided it's finally time. And I'm going to play the move knight to f3. And okay, now I finished my development. All my pieces are out into the game. I have all my pieces out. My opponent is still lacking in development. This bishop doesn't really have a good space to go to. And I evaluated me as slightly better because this bishop, it kind of sucks. It kind of sucks. This rook kind of sucks too. I don't know where I'm going to castle yet, but eventually I will. And then I'm going to bring my rooks to the center. And I have some future ideas. Like there's an idea here to go a3, b4, knight a4, knight c5, bishop c4, and d5, which I actually go for in the future. And like put pressure on his king through the a2, g8 diagonal, which is kind of interesting. Just looking at stuff like that. And I thought my opponent had a much more difficult time of playing. My opponent ends up playing the move c6. The point of this move is I think he didn't want me to play the move d5 myself. Actually, no, sorry. The point of this move was that there's a couple of things. He wanted to bring the queen out this way in some lines. He might want to play b5, b4. It's an idea. It's a very, very flexible move. My opponent is also preventing a piece from going to d5 in the future. It's just a well-placed move, and it's kind of what he needs. And here I start to spend a decent amount of time, down to like an hour 15 on the clock. We start with an hour 30, so I haven't spent too much time. My opponent is around the same level, same time, and I'm doing okay. And I figure out, okay, we're in like the middle game stage of the game. I know that my opponent has to figure out what he needs to play now, what his plans are. And I thought, okay, what's a good plan for my opponent? A decent plan for my opponent is he wants to get control of these squares, right? He wants to get more control of these squares. He wants to put a knight on this square. If he puts a knight on the square, the knight is going to be pretty good. He wants a knight there. Okay, so how does he do that? Well, I thought maybe bishop to b4. He trades off my knight. I take back with the queen. He puts a knight here. Maybe not right now. Maybe put his rook e8, that knight here. I'm not too sure. But I wasn't too fond of this whole idea of trading off my knight on c3 and getting control of these squares. So it's like, okay, I'm not going to spend too much time did spend a decent amount of time, spent like 5 minutes on this move or something. And I just simply played the move a3, which is one of the best moves in the position. And I'm just stopping bishop to b4. I have ideas of b4. It's going with my other plan of playing knight a4, knight c5. And I'm like, okay, I'm happy. I'm happy here. Rook to e8 played. I think for a little bit I played the move rook to d1. Bit of a mysterious move, but the point is I'm going for some... I don't really know what plan I'm going to go for yet, but there's an idea now of bishop to c4 and d5. And also this rook was doing nothing. I wasn't ever going to long castle, and it's not going to do anything on the c file since these pawns aren't really helpful to my pieces. They're very good at blunting them. And I thought, okay, the d file is where the rook needs to be, so rook d1. Makes a lot of sense. And I'm still delaying castling because I don't need to yet. Bishop to d7. And here I decided, okay, enough is enough. I'm going to go with my plan, and I blunder everything. I was like, okay, bishop to d7, that's the perfect point to go with my plan. I'm going to go knight a4, knight to c5. If he trades off my bishop for the knight, I'm not too sure that's a good trade for him. Yes, a lot of my pawns are in dark squares, but I just don't really believe it. I don't really believe him doing that, because maybe I put the pawn there, I go b4, I open up the d5, my rook is already here. It gets kind of complicated. My opponent probably wouldn't be having the best time in that position. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go for this. I don't really see what my opponent can do. Queen a5 after a knight to a4. After a knight to a4, queen a5 is always about b4. Queen protects the knight, and the queen just simply has to go all the way back. Then my knight gets to c5, and I'm very happy. So I'm like, okay. Oh, and one more thing. If knight a4, knight e4, I'm just gonna take. Actually, I don't even have to take. I can like play knight d2, or I can just castle. And doing pretty good. Then I play knight d2. Yeah, maybe I'll probably play knight d2 first, actually. Yeah, and I'm pretty happy. So I play knight a4. And the advantage jumps to minus 1. Because I completely missed my opponent's idea. I see it as soon as I play this move, which is a phenomenon I'm sure we've all seen in our chess career. My opponent plays f4. And that's a problem. That's a real problem. Because he's just gonna start pounding me. He's punishing me for keeping my king in the center so long. And well, of course I can't take, and he's threatening simply to take, and maybe get a bishop here that I'm not ever going to be able to castle. My rook is going to be stuck over here forever. I'm just going to be in a worse position. I'm not going to have that much fun. So that's not good. And the real issue is that if I play the move e4, of course castles, take, he wins a pawn. I don't really enjoy that. If I play e4, which I ended up doing in the game after a long think, because this move really startled me, I calculated this line, and I thought that my opponent was just much better here. e4, knight takes, bishop takes e4. My opponent will play the move f5 or bishop to f5. It doesn't really matter too much. I'm gonna play knight to c3. I could play knight to d2, but I thought that this way, if I play knight to d2 too quickly, like he might have like this idea. My knight over here is a little bit flimsy. I don't really like that. So okay, I'm gonna play knight to c3. I'm just following along. e4 takes, f5, knight c3. Bishop f5 doesn't really matter. He's going to take my piece. I'm going to take here, bishop f5, knight to d2. And I thought here that my opponent, in this position, my opponent could go f3. And I was really worried. Oh, sorry, not that line. Not in that line. There's a difference. e4, knight here, bishop f5, knight c3, takes, f5, knight d2. And now he plays f3, I think. No, again, I'm wrong. Takes, now f3. And I thought I was busted. I thought after f3 I'm just over, because although he's sacrificing a pawn in that line, and all that happens, by the way, e4 takes, this is a fake brilliant, it's pretty obvious. F5, He chooses f5, not bishop f5. Yeah, f5 is better. What am I talking about? Oh my goodness, what am I... Whatever, I'm very sleepy today. Anyway, f5, knight back to c3, fe4, knight e4, bishop f5, knight d2. And here I thought f3 was very, very powerful. Of course, I completely misremembered my analysis of the position. Sorry for that. But yeah, I thought f3 was very powerful. And I was right. Because the point of this move, of course I can't take here. Of course I can't take here. It's over. Queen is hit. I'm going to move there, take everything. I'm going to lose. Can't go there. If I take with a pawn, which is the only move, I was also thinking about castles here, but I didn't understand why I would go for this with my king so exposed. I thought this was just losing. You saw nothing. You saw nothing. You saw nothing. Oh no. Oh no. Where were we? Oh no. I hate that that's a thing where you can hit the down arrow and go to the end of the game. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Anyway, f3. f3. And if I take, which is a pretty reasonable option, it's probably one of my only options in this position. I thought my opponent could play like bishop f4 from a distance, and like he's targeting my knight. There's problems here. My king is like super exposed. I'm never going to be able to get to safety. If I like ever move my king out this way, I thought that I just like lose somehow. I don't even know, but I just thought this was just so terrible to go for this. It's just impossible, because now he's like threatening this again. He's gonna go here. He's gonna bring the rook in, like takes. He's gonna bring the other rook in. He's gonna checkmate me somehow. And I just thought, okay, this is just game over. And I was actually ready to just be very, very sad. If he played f3, I was like preparing myself mentally. I have to survive this. I have to defend after f3. And then luckily for me, luckily for me, he plays the move queen e7. And I'm like, I breathe a sigh of relief, because f3 is now my move, and he can no longer play this move. But it's still -1. It's still -1 in this position, which is actually just insane. And I actually thought here this was probably equal. I was like, okay, this is probably an equal position, and if anyone's playing for a win here, if everyone's playing to be better here, it is probably white, because black's king is very weak. My king is actually not that weak. It can hide over here to g1, maybe like bring the rook somehow. I don't know. And I have like checks over here. I have like queen b3, knight c4. I am the only one with center control. I have a rook here. You still have a piece that's doing nothing. Of course, my piece is also doing nothing, but your piece is doing nothing over here too. And I was like, okay, I don't think I'm doing too bad after this move f3. And I'm like, okay, I'm happy. He plays move queen h4, which I looked at. And I quickly play the move king f1, which I end up regretting very much, because king f1 is, well, as you can see by the orange question mark, it's a mistake. But the reason why it's a mistake is because if I go to king e2, which is the much more better move, now my rook can escape. But the reason why I went king f1 was because I thought, okay, I'm going to play this move king g1. Actually, I thought that I was able to like eventually bring my queen to f2 and trade the queens, and then like put my king on h2 and then bring the rook to e1. I would be happy in that position. But that's very, very slow, and my opponent's actually able to do a lot of stuff against that in the meantime, and I should have been faster. King e2 was the much quicker move, and I actually realized that a couple minutes after I played my move. My opponent here plays move bishop to c7. After king f1, my opponent plays bishop to c7. And I'm like, okay. Okay, my opponent's obviously going for bishop to b6, trying to go down this line. I still think white is doing pretty well here. I don't think black has much of anything, because like if he just starts taking stuff, like let's say I go knight c4. If he just starts like taking stuff, like, okay, I get these pawn in the center. If he plays f3, which I looked at, I get all these pawns. Like, there's no way I'm not doing like something here. Like, I thought, okay, queen f2. Oh, I missed rook f3. Yeah, yay. But yeah, I thought I would get like queen f2. I thought I'd be okay. Maybe king g2. Actually, king g2 is bad. But I thought I'd be okay. It's the bottom line. Unfortunately, I'm not. And I think for a little bit, I decide I need to get my king to safety immediately. I play the move king to g1. The point is I'm trying to get to h2 as quickly as possible. I need my rook out here. My opponent plays bishop to b6. And I decide to, okay, you know what? My opponent's a good player. He's like 1830 or whatever. I actually thought he was 1900 during this game. I don't know why. I just misread the his rating. It's kind of funny. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna draw a good player. I'm very, very happy. But yeah, he's 1830. A draw is a good result. I don't think too long. I'm like, okay, king g1 was maybe not the best move. I probably should have played something a little bit better. I think I might have squandered an advantage here. I decide, okay, I'll play knight c4 offer, and this is basically a draw offer. And I thought, and my opponent thought, because I talked to him after the game, that his best option here was to go for the draw. Because if he goes back to c7, of course he can't allow this. One more thing, by the way, instead of king g1, if I go queen to b3, you might think, oh, check, that's a free pawn. It's not. Rook to b8, and I probably lose. Maybe he moves the bishop first, but then, yeah, rook to b8, and I'm going to lose that position. Of course, I looked at that, but yeah. King g1, bishop to b6, knight c4. And there's a draw in the position. There's a perpetual check. I saw this when I played knight c4. Before I played knight c4, bishop takes e4, rook takes e4, and queen here is a perpetual check. First you have to take the bishop. First you have to take the knight, and then queen here is a perpetual check because king h2, queen g3, back and forth. And yeah, he thought here that if he went back to c7, what I would do, I would just slowly improve my position, play a move like king h2. Sorry, not king h2, because king h2 falls victim to f3. I'd play something like, I don't know. It's kind of a difficult position, actually. Okay, I can see why it's -2. I can see why. I was thinking maybe like, I don't know, I'd figure something out. Queen f2, maybe, for example. Queen f2, here. I'm gonna be doing okay. I'm going to be going here and put the king on f2, knight on b3. I don't know. I'm going to be doing okay. I'm going to be doing all right. I'm going to bring my rook in, and you can kind of like see how this gets from bad to worse for black very, very quickly, because my knight gets a very strong outpost on e5 in some lines. This pawn is a little weak. His bishops don't have that much scope, especially this bishop. This bishop has a decent amount of scope, but this bishop doesn't really have that much. Because it's a relatively closed position. There's a lot of pawns on the board still. And I thought I was kind of evaluating that position as like pretty decent for me. And he was too. So this position he took on e4, f takes e4, and bishop takes d4. And yeah, I offered a draw and he agreed. Which is very nice because of course this is just repetition, right? Yeah, this is an interesting game. I don't know how I misevaluated it like the whole time. Like after f3, I like considerably thought that like white was playing for the win, but it's just always losing. It's just always completely lost, which is very, very funny. In any case, that's really all I've got for you. Moral of the story is, I don't know, play better. Play king e2, you buffoon. Maybe don't blunder f4. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that's it. Yeah. Good evening and good night.